Well, President Biden at Camp David as his multi-trillion-dollar spending plan hits a bit of a roadblock thanks to a group of moderate Democrats. Edward Lawrence reporting live from the White House for us. Hi, Edward.
Hey, Jackie. Yeah, we just learned, actually, the president has changed his plan. He's going to be at Camp David through Wednesday now. The infrastructure bill first paused his vacation, and now he's dealing with the Afghanistan situation. But you mentioned those lawmakers. They could derail almost all the spending the president wants to do from now going forward. He's also concerned about his economic poll numbers. The Fox News poll, for example, just released, it shows that the number one issue is inflation of registered voters. 86% of people are either extremely or very concerned about inflation. That's more than violent crime. It's more than unemployment in the poll. The same number of people blame the pandemic for the rising prices. But look at the next number on this screen here. 79% of registered voters also think the president's policies played a role in the rising prices. Now, this polling data and inflation fears might be one reason those 9 moderate Democrats sent a letter to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi threatening to stalemate over the reconciliation bill. Those lawmakers in this statement, those lawmakers said this: we will not consider voting for a budget resolution until the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act passes the House and is signed into law. Now, Senator Ben Cardin today pushing the line that the White House has been pushing about this. Listen.
This has always been a challenge. Both bills are important. The Senate passed both bills. I hope the House will do the same, as the president has said. So this is going to be a challenge.
I hope the House will do the same. So the 9 moderate Democrats say they do not want to be the cause of any unnecessary delays in getting people to work. The House is coming back into session on August 23rd to take up that bipartisan infrastructure bill. However, Nancy Pelosi says that she is not going to bring it up until the reconciliation bill passes the Senate. So Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has said that he wants the Senate committees to work out the exact language in the reconciliation bill by September 15th. Some moderate Democrats having a little issue with all the spending in that without having the pay-fors in it. So the economic agenda right now going forward is up in the air. Jackie?
Edward Lawrence, thank you so much for that. Here now, Steve Forbes, Forbes Media Chairman. Always great to see you, Steve. Good evening to you. Let's talk about what's happening in Washington right now, because this is really interesting. You see, as inflation starts to rear its ugly head and Americans are feeling the pinch, if you will, the spending all of a sudden doesn't seem to be so popular.
Well, that's right. And the money ultimately comes from the people one way or the other. Inflation is a hidden tax, which is not so hidden when you pay it at the counter or at the pump. And so some Democrats are very queasy. They know they're coming up for re-election in 2022. But don't underestimate, Jackie, the left. They're going to put severe pressure on these moderates to let this stuff go through. Nancy Pelosi knows that if she lets the infrastructure bill go through without that reconciliation of $3.5, but really $6 or $7 trillion and numerous new entitlements, which are going to burden the budget in the future and hurt this economy, she knows it won't pass. So she's not going to let the lollipop go first until they get the rest of it with it. And you're going to see severe pressure. You're also going to see unprecedented carrots dangled before these people. So it's going to be carrot, blunt stick, and all the subtlety of Tony Soprano.
Oh, wow. Okay. To put it mildly. It's interesting. Those are several different ways that this could play out. But it's interesting that these moderate Democrats are at least, voicing some concern. It's something that we haven't heard a lot of when it comes to that extra $3.5 trillion. I mean, do you think that there is some way to find a compromise to try to, jockey that number and bring it down?
Well, it's not so much bringing the number down. I worry, and I think we should worry more about what is actually in the bill. As we know, with a lot of these entitlement programs that always sound good, they start with a low number, and then they balloon in the years ahead, tenfold, 50-fold, 100-fold. So they may lower the number and say, see how responsible we are. Instead of $6 trillion, it's only 3 or 2 or $1.5 trillion. But if you look inside and you've got these things that are going to mushroom in the future, then that's still a defeat for the American economy and future prosperity.
All right. And I don't mean to put you on the spot here, because I'm not sure that there is a way to answer this question per se. But is there any way to quantify, if we do see this $3.5 trillion plus the $1.2 trillion, in addition to all the spending that we've done and the inflation that's in the marketplace right now, is there any way to quantify how much further it could send prices up?
Well, you're going to have to see how the Federal Reserve decides to finance this. The government obviously is going to have to float bonds to finance it. How much of those bonds are going to be bought by the Federal Reserve, and whether they can find a way to take it out of the banking system as they're doing now with gimmicks. They've already withdrawn $1 trillion from the banking system. The banking system is flooded with money. So quantify it, I'll just say this. Go back to the 1970s, and you'll see in 2022, 2023, if they go through with all this kind of spending, the Federal Reserve can't get its act together, that's what we're going to be in for. Stagnant economy, rising prices, and rising interest rates, which is going to smash the housing market. And the government now has been paying way below historic levels of interest on the national debt. So that budget's going to blow up as well.
Okay.
So the scenario is scary, and hopefully Congress will stop acting like jellyfish, get some backbone, especially those so-called moderate Democrats, and stop this
Got
nonsense.
it. Bottom line, not good. When you look back at history and what you're pointing out, it could be catastrophic for this economy. I do want to talk to you about the Delta variant, what we're seeing with the coronavirus right now, because we were headed towards Labor Day. We were reopening. Things looked really good. And now there's some concern. You see these companies saying, well, some of our employees could stay home a little bit longer, that kind of thing. And the White House hasn't necessarily ruled out that it might extend these benefits that we've been seeing that have been keeping people from going back to work. They already extended the moratorium on evictions. And so I'm wondering how likely you think that will be, because I think that will really have a chilling effect on the economy, the stock market, everything right now.
Well, if they continue to do these programs that keep the economy from functioning the way it should, yes, it's going to do real damage. And already the uncertainty, and this is a real scandal in terms of public health. The public is confused. What in the world are we supposed to do? You get contradictory opinions from this quarter, from that quarter, and so people just throw up their hands. It's one reason why vaccinations haven't gone as fast as they have, is people don't trust what they're being told by the government. And now the FDA may finally get around maybe to approving final approval on those Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Hello, that should have been done months ago.
Yeah.
So clarity would go a long ways. People will act the proper way if they know what the proper information is.
Steve Forbes, great to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you, Jackie.
All right.